Green to Stay Eco Bounty News episode 22, following up on our previous video, part 1 of the West has one more move. And this is one of those times when we like to, when we are thankful that we were wrong. Because breaking update across Australia, across Brisbane, across Melbourne, I don't know about Sydney, but across Australia anyway, massive protests by the workers, by tradesmen, builders, and it really is welcome news, because these protests are happening all over the world at present. You're seeing some little snippets in the Western media, but this is long overdue. This is way long overdue. Like we were saying in the previous videos, the system is being geared up and rigged to help financial, cowboys. Basically, that's what they are: bankers, financiers, cowboys. This previous Liberal government. Now, when a new government comes in, they always say, yes, the old government left us such a mess, blah, blah, blah. But in this instance, I think it's going to take a few years to uncover all the shady, jobs for mates, contracts for mates, jobs for mates, all the shady things that the coalition government has done. But like we said in the beginning of this video, we're very welcome to see this movement towards workers standing up for their rights and dismantling this neoliberal, if it was like purely for economic advantage, where people were going to benefit, whether it was going to grow innovation or progress some kind of technology that someone was benefiting from and they were making good profit, you wouldn't be so opposed to it. But what it is now, the entire system has been carefully crafted in Australia anyway to reward criminals, to reward these financiers, and use all the public owned facilities to do that. Government has been facilitating basically a type of corporate socialism. That's all you can call it, is a type of corporate socialism. The safety nets, the bureaucracy, that they've set up for these banks. Now, seeing we're having these workers' protests finally en masse, why don't we go the whole hog? I mean, why don't we go the whole hog in Australia? Why don't we take back our country? Why don't we take back our country of these corrupted media, like nanny nitpickers? They talk about violence. Their conformity to what happened during the pandemic is a form of violence. The way they tolerated these mandates on everyone, the way they pushed these so-called prescribed remedies is a form of violence. I think that has to be matched. The difference with the violence that you might see in protests towards property, not violence, personal violence, but the violence towards corporate property, that I think that has to be matched with the violence that they've shown in their just procurement of using taxpayers and government, our stuff, to facilitate their corporate greed. It is an act of violence, and I think that has to be matched. Not that you want to advocate that sort of thing, but I think they need to just examine the type of language that they use as descriptive violence. They are violent. They are mental and psychological, economic, spiritual, every kind of violence. The way that they have been abusing us citizens, they need to be dismantled. I would like to see the corporate media these moguls, these monopolies of evil, finally bought, removed. That's just my own personal thing, you know. But also, why don't we go the full hog? Why don't we get our country back? Why don't we? I mean, the government already has a formal plan for a republic. So why don't we go the whole hog? Why don't we get our country back? Why don't we kick out all these foreign, you know, dead weight, you know, our aristocracy that are controlling our constitution and laws? Why don't we get rid of these foreign greedy corporations that aren't paying any company tax? Why don't we get them out? Why don't we get them out? Why don't we stand up to them now? Why don't we go the whole hog? And the reason why I'm saying that now is because they are already attempting to censor us, to censor the discussion, to control the discussion, to silence us. They have robo-cops, masses of robo-cops. I've never seen this amount of cops that are brought out to protests. You know, they are already planning a strategy to essentially strip us from everything that has been fought and won by wars and by you know, industrial action. They essentially are trying to remove all our rights, all our freedoms, and on top of that, we don't want to be maintained. We want to grow. We want a fairer system. We don't want just the rights and the economic plan just to stay even. We want to progress. We actually want more now. We want compensation. We want compensation for the violence of this economic system. In every way, for the way that they've mismanaged handling out the ecology, the way that they're willing to like give, you know, unending subsidies and tax breaks to these corporations and banks. We want compensation back. So why don't we go the whole hog, Australia? Why not? Because if we don't, I'm telling you, there's already strategies in the media, in laws to remove the little freedoms that they're trying to strip away. And then not only that, they're imposing all these types of like micromanagement on our children. I mean, I just read today they've got some kind of like non-violence strategy at the Easter show. You know, this is what they do. Like, there's an incident, and I'm not condoning it, especially around kids or what might have happened. But there's an incident, and they use that as a strategy to bring in all sorts of laws and make them cover all types of scenarios. You know, if we weren't under this economic violence, if we weren't being robbed and stripped and scammed, and our taxes were overtaxed, if that wasn't enough, you know, or if we weren't dealing with all the economic violence, we would tolerate the laws that they use for so-called safety and security. But the fact that they're doing both of them, and they're doing all of these things all at once, and just treating us like complete mugs, well, you have to draw the line. And I say, if we're going to have protests, if we're going to have strikes, why don't we go the whole hog? Why don't we get our country back? Why don't we take it back? Why don't we unite all our different cultures, religions? Like I say, everyone. It doesn't mean you have to agree with everyone, but let's form a common bond on the fact that this business model in Australia, and in fact in the West, is a form of violence against us, and we need to unite, see our common similarities, our common battles, and we need to help each other and let's take back our country. Let's get our own country back. Let's just go the whole hog, Australia. What do you think about that? Anyway, so yeah, I'm happy that I was proved wrong, that there is some kind of voice now standing up. It's long overdue. And yeah, let's get our country back. Let's go the whole hog. You know, why not? Because they're planning an attack on us. They're planning an attack to uphold the status quo, which rewards just, you know, corporate criminals. So why don't we just stand up now and go the whole hog? So we'll leave it at that. Green Stowe Eco, Bounty News, the news with a tinge of mutiny, signing out.